Defend your atheism.
Capitalism.
I just got ambushed, like I wasn't expecting. I thought you were just...
No. I am looking at the bike, but I'm really going to argue my case. This bike, you have what I see is an illusion of design. That's what you're telling me. Oh, the thinness is to do with the aerodynamic feature to make it go faster. There's an illusion of design. This came into existence, I would argue, from nothing, just like that. Why do you have to believe it came from a maker? Why are you even paying for this? Did you have to pay for this bike?
Yeah, I did.
When this came into, just like that, popped into existence, who did you pay to? No one made it.
Someone made it.
Why do you think this bike needs to be made by someone?
Made by machinery, bro. Machinery.
Brother, if you don't mind, I would like to really know, why would you as an intelligent person need to think a bike like this with an illusion of design needs to be made by a maker? Why? Why couldn't it just pop into existence just like that?
Because we know about the process of a bike being made.
Have you seen this bike being made somewhere?
I didn't see it.
Right. So having not seen, why do you have this blind faith that this is made by a manufacturer? This particular bike may have popped into existence. Why do you have to believe in it? Why? You're a man of intelligence. I mean, do you study and work, perhaps finish your universities, done a PhD already or something? You work. So obviously you're working because you have done your studies already, right? You've gone through that process. Why an intelligent person like yourself need to come to this belief that this would show some illusion of design? Remember my word. You think it's design? It's not.
Yeah, you make a good point.
Yeah.
Okay, I would ask you a question in reverse. Do you believe that Mount Everest is a real thing?
No, I would focus on the bike first, because defend your case if you really think, because I think you paid unnecessary money for this bike when it popped into existence. So why do you think this definitely needs manufacturer when I'm telling you it just popped into existence and you've been duped to pay all that money? You could have saved a lot of money. I mean,
Yeah, I agree with you.
you agree with me?
Yeah, I
that
don't
this
think,
could.
yeah, that it could have popped into existence.
Yeah, and in fact, not only this bike, it could be anything. You know, do you have a phone? Even this phone could have popped into existence, right? Just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you paid money for it.
Yeah, I paid money for it because I find it, some people argue that it couldn't have because there's some kind of so complex of a design that it's difficult to, square up and saying that design demonstrate there's a designer. I mean, this is just a phone. I mean, when we look at the universe, the complexity of our universe, with this intricacy of the laws that are operating in the universe, do you think the universe is less complex than the bike or more complex? So something less complex, like a bike, you are arguing with me requires a designer. Are you saying the more complex requires no designer, or it does require a designer?
The more complex, I would say we don't know.
About the bike, why don't you say we don't know? Why are you inconsistent?
Because no, I'm not inconsistent. I already told you earlier.
Have you seen that bike being made in a manufacturer?
Not this bike.
So you haven't known this bike.
Not this bike.
So this universe and this bike. Have you seen this universe come into existence from nothing? I haven't. Have you? Right. Have I seen this bike coming into existence from nothing? I haven't. I haven't seen whether there's a manufacturer or a company that made it. So bike and the universe, I think there's an equal footing in terms of comparison. None of it we have seen.
No, it's not.
We haven't seen both. Have you seen the universe come into
I've seen
existence?
a bike being made. I've seen a bike being made.
But not this one.
Wait. Yeah, not this one. But
Right.
I've seen other bikes being made. I know how a bicycle comes into place, the components for a bicycle, how the components are sourced, the tires, what company makes them,
Okay.
the manufacturing of each of those components, and how they come together. So I have something to work on because I've seen something already.
So you're making this inference because you've seen the design features elsewhere, even though you haven't seen the maker, and as this bike shows the similar kind of design features, you're extrapolating your thinking and saying, this I also now
It's more likely.
more likely to be designed, to be made. So if I see the universe, everything around it, also showing design features, then if everything that I see looks like design and we see a designer. I see the broader picture of the universe. Looks like it's design. So it's more likely then extrapolating our thinking process and say the universe indeed has a maker. That is the most sensible extrapolation to do, like you did with this light.
The difference is, I haven't seen universes being made. I haven't.
Components, the laws,
What do you mean by
the design.
What do you mean by that?
For example, do you know within our universe there operate certain physical laws and constants? Yeah, they're very, very precise
Yeah.
to so many decimal places. So these kind of organization, which then makes things happen, for example, because of our electromagnetic forces, because of forces of attraction and so on, things happen. So that is a design feature in which this makes things operate. If there were not these chemical properties within these chemicals, then things would not behave that way. The reason they behave that way because of all those already inbuilt principles or governing laws that are there. That should demonstrate to us there is a designer or a governor or something that brought with intelligence this intelligent affair of things.
Not necessarily. I mean,
Why not?
If I ask you about a tree
Yeah.
right there, and I tell you or ask you, was that tree planted or did it grow by itself? What would you say?
This tree, I would argue differently. Does this tree show any evidence of design feature? Now, suppose now I start making a tree from plastic, start building up and giving it leaves and barks, roots, and I'm trying to imitate that tree supposed design feature and see whether this tree can somehow then grow, right? Whether the water from the ground can go up the roots, defying gravity, to the top of that tree that I'm making, and somehow it will then distribute the energy through the branches, through the roots. So if I gave you something similar to it, you would say, wow, that works. But if I give you the real thing, you would say it is not exhibiting design? Or would you say it does exhibit design?
I mean, you can.
If I give you a comparison, if I give you a comparator, I made a plastic tree and trying to imitate the design features within it, and somehow I can see through capillary suction, of course the water has to go defying uproot, and some kind of, I'm giving all these chlorophylls within it to make photosynthesis with sunlight and so on, and it's working. You'd say whatever I put in within this model tree, there's a design feature in there. That's why it's working like that, because it has been organized and assembled with an intent of doing all of these things. But I'm giving you the real thing, which is the tree. So when you look at it, do you see any design feature? I want you to be consistent. You do. So when you see the design feature, then you are extrapolating that this design thing that is designed has been designed by no intelligence. Is that what you're extrapolating?
No. I'm extrapolating that the conditions for that tree are there in the same way it's there for the plastic tree.
So are you saying the plastic tree, if I were to leave it through the mercy of nature, Mother Nature, and then the wind and the temperature and the salinity and the humidity and the sunlight, and they can somehow make this thing assemble and work?
Not if it was plastic, but if it was like a natural...
No, plastic.
Why don't you want to address a natural tree?
No, I'm just checking out, why am I not able to envisage or even imagine that natural forces that are operating within nature can assemble this similar to a tree and make it within this design feature and make it operable, that it operates it, photosynthesis happens. Why can I not say that's possible?
I would say it wouldn't be possible because it's an artificial thing, like plastic tree, and this would require you to artificially regulate the conditions for it.
No. If I give
A plastic tree.
Firstly, why do I need to have this kind of required assembly for it to work? Because that's the way it works with this particular design assembly. Without that design assembly, there will be no photosynthesis as my model tree.
Yeah.
There will not be capillary section.
Yeah.
So it has to have this design feature built in.
Yeah.
Does that require any intelligence?
Yeah.
Are you certain?
Yeah.
So if I see a tree with the similar kind of design feature, does it require intelligence for that design feature to be assembled in that way?
Not necessarily.
So now you're saying not necessarily. So why does my plastic tree require an intelligence? Why didn't you say not necessarily?
I mean, you haven't answered my question, which is looking at that tree.
No, we can go to your question. Remember, I'm not going to avoid your question.
Yeah.
I am saying, why are you having two sets of standards? One for a tree, you don't require necessarily an intelligence.
Yeah.
But for a model of that tree, somehow mimicking that design feature, you require intelligence.
Yeah.
I would like to know what makes you that kind of inconsistent decisions between the two.
Because intelligence is, what's the word? Active for something to be. As a result of intelligence, it's been actively designed in a kind of way.
Was that passively designed?
I don't know. It could have been.
So let's understand what I mean by. So let's understand something. Can randomly a plastic model of a tree appear?
A real tree.
No. Let's talk about design feature. Why can we not get randomly, right, on my lab, a tree growing without from seeds, just the material components that is there within nature? It just assembles by itself. By passive assembly, by randomness.
I can't speak for that regarding plastic.
But why do you assume that for assembly, in a particular way, you require intelligence?
Well, we're talking about like an artificial thing, right?
No, it's not about artificial or natural or synthetic. Synthetic.
It is.
The issue is about assembling something that requires a particular way of assembling it to make sure it functions in a particular way. For example, your heart. How much time and effort and scientific thought has gone in to make artificial heart? Do you know? Yeah, a lot. But we can't still make a heart as functional as this. We can make artificial blood, we can make all, but to make something as organic and natural like this, as like the eye and so on, why do we then say, you know what, let's get a transplant? Because the transplant is the real thing. We can't get this real thing, the design feature, made artificially, even though the best scientists around the world can come together, they can't put together like a human fly. Sorry, not a human fly, the real fly. No scientist on earth can come together and say, you know what, let's assemble a fly, and then it just goes there. All you can do is make a robotic fly that has certain design imitations from the natural flies. So why is it impossible for us to do something which is nature, which has no intelligence, has done it? Why is this inconsistency in this atheistic worldview? It is not the blind watchmaker argument. Don't fall for that trap. So why do we have these double standards? We are talking about design, and we are talking about what is required for such kind of design. Do we need intelligence, or do we need just randomness? That's the question.
If you would answer my question.
Which is now, okay, let's deal with your question.
Yeah,
so basically, you would not answer mine because...
No, I would come back to yours.
Come back to me. Okay, come back to my question. Okay, your question is?
Look at that tree.
Yep, I'm looking at the tree.
Can you say for a fact that a person planted that tree? Or it grew by itself randomly?
No, what I can say is, I do not know personally someone planted the seed for that tree or not, or that seed itself, the seed came because someone dropped it, but the fact that I know for sure, that tree didn't pop into existence, number one. And I'll tell you my reasons why. Okay. That bike may have, and you say it's possible as well, that tree could not have popped into existence from nothingness, and that tree must have come from a source, like a seed. Or it could have been artificially what's called, you know, when we do, I don't know the particular term for it, like from a branch that we can actually grow a, like we're talking about this kind of grafting, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Without those component sources, this tree would not be there at all.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah. So whether this was planted by a man or not they did not intelligently design the genetic component within the seed, that the seed needs to split. Without the right condition to split, the seed will never split. That seed then splits, and then it starts growing leaves and roots. Why so? Because there is a genetic code embedded within the seed, the information. That code is an assembly of information which you and I didn't assemble. This assembly is the question I'm asking you. Without intelligence assembling this information, can we believe that tree can just come? Can we believe this bike can pop into existence? Can we believe human being can pop into existence? Can we believe our universe can pop into existence like that?
Without the information.
Without intelligent agency assembling the information and dispersing as it is in our cosmos today.
Without the information, no. Without the intelligent
So
agency.
what intelligent agency assembled this information?
I don't know.
It has to be something, right? It's not nothingness.
Why does it have to be something?
Is it nothing then?
No, I'm asking you.
Right.
What
There is
does-
two binary options. It's either something or it's nothing. You don't have a third thing in between. It's something or nothing. Nothing is the absence of something, and something is something. As to what this something is, we can talk about it, but it cannot be anything else in between. There's no third option. It's either made by something, designed by something, information assembled by something, or it's by nothingness.
Or some things.
Something or things is the same thing. It's something. Whether it's a singular or in plural, it's the same thing.
Okay.
Could it be nothingness?
Could it be
Could nothingness have assembled this information within the cosmos?
what do you mean by nothingness?
Okay, very good, very sensible question. What I'm trying to illustrate with you by nothingness is the absence of something. So this nothingness is a concept which I am now telling you that it is the absence of time, space, energy, quantum fields, everything that you can imagine. It's basically the absence of anything. That's no thing. No thing means there is no energy, there is no space, there is no matter, there is no quantum fluctuations, there is no quarks and particles, nothing. It's the absence of all of that.
So would you consider dark matter to be nothing?
It's not nothing, it's something. Dark matter is not nothing, it's something.
Even though it's in its...
What is it? What is the dark matter according to scientists? Yeah, go ahead.
Because I'm just working based off your definition.
Yeah. The definition I've provided is not a definition that you would find difficult to understand. It's the philosophical concept of nothing, where it's this absence of everything. Not Lawrence Krauss's definition of something, which is quantum fields, which is something. Fields are something.
Okay, so dark matter is composed of particles.
Particles, stop there, that's it. It's a matter. Particles is something. So dark matter is something. Whether it's a particle, and if the particle is energy or quantum fluctuation, it's something. So nothingness is the absence of all of that.
Well, then I would say it didn't come from nothing.
Very good, I agree with you. Because nothingness, while it's nothing, it cannot make something.
Yeah.
So our cosmos must have been originated by something.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
That something must exist,
Yeah.
must have ability and power to bring about something. Without the power and ability, how is it going to do it?
Ability. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. That something must have a choice or intent. Because otherwise, okay, why do you say no?
Because choice or intent would require something conscious, right?
No, we can find out whether it's conscious or not. But I'm saying it's like this. If I leave your bike like this here,
Yeah.
and you're standing bike, do you think this bike will start riding itself and say, jump on, and it forces you to jump on, and then start riding you to your destination? Would it ever do that?
Nope.
Because this doesn't have an intent. It doesn't have this intention
Yeah,
or
it's
a
not
choice.
conscious. It's not conscious.
No. Whether intention comes from consciousness or conscious agents, we can talk about it. But this needs to intend that action to take place.
Yeah.
So this universe, if there was something there, and all the components was there for it to then make our universe as it is, but there was no intent behind this change, would that change ever happen? Just like your bike will stand there, it will never happen, it will never move, it will be because it doesn't have the intentions to do. I try to give an example of a kitchen with making a cup of tea or coffee. You've been to a kitchen and made coffees?
Yeah.
Everything is there in place. The teapot, the milk in the fridge, the water, the sink, and everything is there. If you just sit there without any agency with intent, without any agency with intent, remember, agency is something, not nothingness. With intent, would a cup of tea or a coffee ever be made? Give billions of zillions of years.
It doesn't have to.
Would you ever make? Would you ever assemble?
No, but it doesn't have to be only with intent.
No. Why would it assemble if there was no intention to assemble in that particular way? Like, you know what? A cup comes along, and then it goes into the sink. The tap opens, the water flows. The tap stops, it comes up. Maybe the milk, the fridge door opens, the milk comes out, the lid opens, and it starts pouring on it. The tea is there in the cupboard up there. The cupboard doors open, and inside that there, the tea bag, one bag comes in. The sugar comes along, opens whatever your content of sugar is. You need a spoon, whatever. And the sugar comes along and start mixing it. Look, all of this assembly requires intent. Whether it's done by your robot or by yourself, without any intent to make a cup of tea or coffee by something which possesses this intention, it will not intention. It could be a program robot, which is the intent behind it. It will never happen.
Okay, but that's because it's making coffee or tea.
The universe wasn't always like that.
What if we use like an example of fire? Fire starting in a bush. Does that necessarily have to require intent?
No.
You have to ask yourself, how did the fire start? How did the
fire start? Yeah.
It's not going to happen from nothing, is it?
No, not
Something.
intent. Intent. Does it have to be intentionally started?
Well, it doesn't have to be intentionally, but it could be natural causes, but something's going to
The fire.
I don't disagree. Something started it.
The fire.
It could be birds. It could be
Right.
thunder striking.
Right.
Dry grass.
So you're saying
Human
fine.
beings.
So what you're saying is there's a possibility of accidental intent causing the fire.
Accidental intent.
Yeah, because no one intended to do the fire. A bushfire, it just happened because of.
It can't be. It can't be
Okay,
an
give
accident.
me an
If it's
example
intentional.
give me an example of a fire that is caused. How does it start?
Sorry.
How does a fire start?
The fire starts when
The one that doesn't require an intelligence agency or intent. Give me an example of that so we can understand it better.
okay, so let's say there are dry grasses. Let's say this land is full of dry grasses.
Dry grasses.
They've
Yep.
been dried
Sunny,
out.
very
Yeah,
sunny.
Yeah, very sunny. Like there's little water in this environment,
Fine.
so they dry out, they die out.
Sure.
And then let's say there are lightning strikes
Lightning
in
strikes.
this area.
Fine.
And one of the strikes happens to, when thunderstorms happen and then lightning hits the floor and some people going electrocuted.
Cuted?
Yeah, from the lightning storm. So something like that could start a fire.
Sure.
Yeah,
Where
that could happen,
it just
but
strikes
something did cause it,
the
though.
grass. Yeah,
It's not
something
like
did.
it's not like it didn't happen randomly.
It did happen
No,
randomly.
not really, because if there was no sun, what happened if it was raining? Would it happen? Would the fire start then?
What is intent?
Yeah, but some.
Let's address this issue now.
Because
So
I'm not saying it didn't. I'm not saying something didn't start it.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's not intentionally
It's
started.
intentionally, but something did cause it. Though.
Yeah, of course.
For example, like you
So-
said, it's
Of course.
dry grass,
Yeah.
the sun,
Yeah,
the
of course.
heat, shock, and it happens.
Yeah.
Well, we know that happens.
Yeah.
But something did cause it in between. It's not like it randomly happened. The sun, if it was if it wasn't sun and it was raining or cloudy, it wouldn't happen. The fire wouldn't start.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there is a reason behind anything behind it. Even for your existence, there's a reason behind why you're breathing.
Okay.
And if there was no air,
Can we come back to the fire example?
Yeah.
Fine. So this fire, so there's a law operating for combustion here.
Yeah.
So there's a law in place that if you have this kind of strikes there, and this happens, you have this ignition happening. And then things burn because of what happens, the properties of what we mean by combustion. You have oxygen, without any oxygen, this will not burn. So the chemical reaction that are going to take place to ignite and combust and to produce this fire, it's already there. So let's go back to our scenario. There is something that is there always, and it is there with all these right elements, right laws already to ignite, to combust, to start a reaction. Yeah. Think about now one step backward. So you are now giving something that is there, requires to be in existence for our universe, is there already with inherent properties. Already exist with inherent properties in which it would then operate in such a way. So the conditions and laws and everything is there, inherently there. Can you explain that? How do we get something to exist with these inherent properties?
How do we get something to exist with these inherent properties?
Existed infinitely. If it existed infinitely, what would cause it to even change? What would be there to set limits on it? Our universe has lots of limits like gravity, the gravitational constant, Planck's constant. You're saying that the space cloud that ignited the universe, right? The space cloud that ignited the universe would also have limits, but limits can only be there if they're set, right? You can't have limits in an infinite space or infinite time. So if you think about it, there must have been something unlimited without like time constraints. And also, if it had no will, then imagine it existed infinitely in the past and in the future. There's no reason for something like that to change. Do you get what I'm saying? It has no mind, so why would it begin a universe? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I was a bit distracted by the guy, but I think I generally get what you're saying. Yeah, but I want us to really like look at the example I gave and compare it to like making coffee. In both examples, they've got the properties. Your coffee, you've got your coffee, that's something. You've got the hot water, you've got all of those things. But one of them necessarily requires you to intentionally make coffee.
Do you think accident can make coffee? Let's give the same kind of thing that we give to wildfire. On that happens on the dry grasses, something like that. Because do you think if we were to do something like that and it would make coffee?
No, I don't think so.
Why? Because the coffee assembly is much more complicated, much more designed. Compared to your ignition in the fire, the universe, the way the universe has assembled itself with this assembly is very organized complexity. The coffee example is very less organized complexity. So this coffee or tea with the example of a fire that starts by itself from nature with all this heat of sunlight or electricity, it's not going to make your coffee or tea.
Yeah, but it also doesn't require you to start it.
No, what I'm saying is the whole idea is to understand the intention behind complex assembly of information. Our universe demonstrates complexity of organized information, which is harmonious. They work together. That's why we're trying to achieve what we call the one unifying principle of force. Make everything, not electricity and magnetism one, but electromagnetism is one. Electromagnetism. And likewise, every other force, there could be just one force altogether. So this organized assembly of information, as complex as the universe, and if you compare that with a fire that starts on in a forest, or a tea or a coffee that be made there's no comparison, because the complexity of information that is assembled is beyond comparison. So I am highlighting a fact, what we called the level of complexity of information and assembly that has happened. The information, like in our DNA, the amount of assembly that is there, it's mind-boggling if you study genetics. But people just somehow just say, oh, it just happened by evolutionary processes over time because they are biological systems, and biological systems, you know what, they just add into complexity, because complex information can be added to an existing system by mutations that develops into more and more complex, more and more developed organisms, because these are living beings. But the point remains again, because we are talking about assembly of complex information. Without intelligence, without intelligent agency, you, in your everyday life, you would not accept anything. But when it comes to the nature all around you, when it comes to the universe, the physical laws, you are told to accept it because the scientists are trying to condition us to think that way. Why? Because the alternative option is what? To believe in an originator. Think about it. Science has become dogmatic. They do not want us to become someone called like creationists, to believe in a creation, this is a creation, because that means knowing the reason why you're created, perhaps subscribe to an organized religion, the do's and don'ts. Scientists are conditioned and conditioning us to make us think that we are liberal human beings, we should just live our life and that's it, that is it. Even though we know for ourselves that there's this dichotomy between, thinking about the natural universe and everything else we do. Look at the mic that I'm holding. There's no way in a billions and zillions of years your mind will say it just assembled itself. Even a mic like that. Okay? It's a wireless mic. But still, because of the complexity of the information that is coded in our DNA is way, way more complex. And yet we are told to accept it because of that process called evolution. It can happen. That is the difference. So our outlook should be not of one of just simply saying, science has somehow explained the origin of life, the origin of how the process of biogenesis, and go back and say, or even the origin of matter, because we are extrapolating even further back. What about the origin of everything? Why does something exist rather than nothing? Science is not in a stage to answer those questions yet.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean that because we don't have an answer for it, a lack of evidence is not the
intelligence is still required. Everyday experience tells you require intelligence. But when it comes to creator, originator of our universe, we are told not to go to that path. That is why if we look at the Quran, we are Muslims, if we look at the Quran, our creator addresses us and says, look into the creation, travel around the earth, travel inside the earth and see how our creator originated this creation. In fact, you'll be surprised how the Quran addresses not just Muslims and other people of other faiths, but it also addresses people of no faith. It says, "Oh, people who have no faith," like oh, people who disbelieve. It goes like this. I'll translate in a second, right? أَوَلَمْ يَرَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَنَّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ كَانَتَا رَتْقًا فَفَتَقْنَاهُمَا وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ أَفَلَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. Just to translate the meaning of this, have the unbelievers, those who have no faith, have they not known that the heavens and the earth, anything beyond the earth, the sky, the cosmos, is the heavens, not as in paradise, the heavens. Have the unbelievers not known that the heavens and the earth was joined together as one piece, and God parted it asunder, and He brought every living thing from water? Would they then not believe? I want to just quickly mention this, how the statement is addressed to a non-believer. It ends with something interesting. Would they then not believe? So it's asked, first of all, have you not seen it already? Have you not known it already? Do you not see? Do you not observe? Do you not know? And then it gives something in between, and then it says, of course, rhetorically, or even actually, would you then not believe? So we expect, if something is addressed directly by the author of the Quran, which claims to be God, and then at the end it says, would you then not believe? There's something, information for us to reflect on as a matter of evidence and proof for its claim it's making. So what does the Quran say? It gives you two pieces of information. One from astrophysics and one from biology, within the same breath. Every living thing is from water, and that's why our understanding of biology is that if you want life, you need to have sources of water. That's why when you go elsewhere in other planets, whether it's go to Mars or something, whether there is signs of water for the life that we know of, carbon-based life. Yes, so we do know now today, for life to exist and subsist and to persist, we need water. What about the first information? That heavens and the earth was joined together as one piece. Was that the case? Now we know from our scientific investigations and inquiry, the conclusion is yes, our universe at one point was the earth and everything was joined together in a, it doesn't have to be Big Bang, whatever, it was in a singularity, it was united, and that got separated. And the separation the Quran describes, this is how the Bedouin Arabs were explaining with each other. The word rataq and fataq, it's like a forceful, what's this word? Forceful way of separation. So the Big Bang is described as something that is separated with this force.
And it's expanding.
Yeah. The Quran does mention expanding, but that's not the point I'm making here. I'm making the point the Quran addresses in this verse. That was the common origin. So the Quran is telling us, telling the people who don't believe, that this is something that you know. Have you not known it? Now you know, and the Quran is then asking you, why would you then not believe then? Because the splitting of that, the bringing of life from water, again, is something that you know that we have come to know now today is what is required. Did the author of this book, if he happened to be Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, did he go underneath the dead volcano and find out the living organisms there and whether they are consisting of water? Did he go in the depths of the most, depth ocean and find out the living organism there still water-based? He hadn't. He was living in a desert. Did he have telescopes? Did he know about redshift? Did he know about all the stars are receding from each other? Of course he didn't. So how would you expect that someone from a desert who is known to be unlettered to give you that information? That's one thing to reflect on. On top of that, as you read the Quran, you'll realize one by one, it gives you, cumulative information for you to reflect and say, why is it that this Quran is giving you all that information from our natural world, which I know that is true now, with our scientific advancements of knowledge? We have learned, we have accumulated the knowledge of the Greeks and the Hindus and all the other civilizations and the Islamic civilization. Now we know this is the case. And the Quran is telling us all of that. I am not saying this is a miracle. I am only merely pointing to a fact that the Quran is offering you the information to reflect on, given 1440 years ago or more, from a man who people knew didn't know about science, technology, anything like that, okay? And yet even the science and technology of that day wasn't as developed to give us that information. And if we understand about the principles of intelligent assembly, then why are we simply saying no, it is possible by randomness and random chance? Because in fact, randomness is our ignorance about all the factors that are in place. There is no such thing as random. Nothing is random. Nothing is random. Nothing is random.
What if you win a lottery? What if you... Are you saying you're going to know for a fact?
When you win a lottery, when you win a lottery, do you think it's a random? What happens when you win a lottery? You just buy a ticket, which happens to be matching with that, okay? It didn't happen by random. It's one of those combinations that just happened to be there.
Well, you didn't know about it. You don't know that it's going to win you.
It doesn't mean it's random. It is already decided. That number is already, brother, this number is already decided. That this is the winning number.
Yeah, of course.
It's just that you didn't have that number. The number was there, you just picked up this.
So you randomly picked the winning
No, you didn't randomly pick.
So you intentionally picked.
No. You didn't intentionally pick that number. You picked a number which was already designed to be like that. Yeah. But this assembly, this number that is going to be the winning number, it's already decided. It wasn't simply something decided like, oh, you know what, the winning number would be something else. They have decided what the winning number is going to be by what? When they roll, whatever the process to do that. Okay?